What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel, Just Ask Kalisa, and as always, I'm Kalisa. If you are new here, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. Today's video is going to be 10 or so ways to improve your credit score. I'll be completely honest, when I was younger, I could give a care less about my credit score. I didn't care about a credit score. I didn't know there was a range of a credit score. If I applied for something and got it, if I paid it, I did. If I didn't, I didn't. It just what it was. It was what it was. I mean, I really was very, very irresponsible with my credit, and I had to learn the hard way that credit is indeed important, and it is very, very important that you keep up with it. And keeping up with your credit is one of the main ways to keep your score in good standing. That's the first thing that creditors see is your score. And I don't care what anybody says, unless you are a millionaire or a billionaire. Even then, they got black cards because, you know, credit is everything. So before we get started, I just want to tell you to go down to that red bar. It's down there. I think it's on this side. It might be on this side. Click that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. And make sure you turn on your notifications so you can be alerted as to when I upload new content. So let's jump right into it. I have everything typed out here so that I can keep track. I don't want to be all over the place. I'm going to try to give you a streamlined version. There's so much that goes into your credit score. I'm going to try to make this as brief as possible. My last video, or the one before that, was like damn near 20 minutes long. So I'm going to try to condense that down and just touch on what you need to do. If you have questions, just shoot me an email, just.ask.kalisa@gmail.com. It will be below in the description box, along with some links to websites where you can, you know, get some help with your credit score. So let's just get into it. The number one way to improve your credit score is to obtain your credit reports. Yep, 3 of them: Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. All 3 credit bureaus report differently, so you want to have a copy of each of those reports so that you can compare any accuracies or discrepancies and figure out if they're all reporting the same. If you see something on one report that you don't see on the other 2, that should be a red flag to you that there is a discrepancy somewhere and you want to get that figured out. Number 2, figure out where you need to make improvement. Do you have a bunch of high balances? Do you have, what I learned is, a thin file, which means you don't have much credit at all? Do you have old collections? See what you have going wrong on your credit reports so that you can come up with a plan of attack, okay? Number 3, create that plan and actually write it down. Physically write it down. I am so much better when I can see something, when I can hold on to something, when I can write notes and arrows. I am the queen of drawing a question mark. My ass will draw a question mark next to every damn thing if I'm unsure about it. So go ahead and physically write down, you know, notes to yourself or dates or whatever the case may be, just to help you see. Don't just look at it online. Get it and physically look at it and write it down or make notes on your actual credit reports. It'll help you later on when you need to, you know, figure things out, or you need to, you know, just see what's going wrong. The number 4 way would be to fix your late payments. Now, this particular one could have a bunch of different layers, because if your payments have been so late on an account that it has gone to collections, that is a whole nother issue. But if your account is still in good standing, you want to make sure that you get your payments to the creditor on time. If you are behind 2 payments, send 2 payments to get yourself caught up. Most credit card companies, I've come to realize, like Capital One, Discover, they're really good if you just communicate with them and let them know, hey, I kind of hit a rough patch with my hours at work, or I took a pay cut, or, you know, I had an unexpected expense and I'm behind or am going to be behind. I want to get caught up. Just communicate, you know what I'm saying? And it'll benefit you if they know what's going on with you. If your account is still in good standing, then you're doing all right, because the moment that it's not in good standing, you have a chance of being sent to collections, and again, that is a whole nother issue. I'll get into that later. So yeah, make sure that you get your late payments caught up and try not to be late to begin with, because then you accrue late fees and all kind of shit, and you don't need that. So the number 5 way to improve your credit score is to keep accounts that are older. Even if you pay it off in full, do not delete that account. Don't have it removed. Yes, your credit report is going to look janky because there's going to be a lot of shit on there. And you might feel like I did, because I also learned this the hard way. Removing something from your credit report will take your score down. Because if you've had an account with, let's say you had a Walmart credit card, and you had that credit card for 7 years, and you paid it off in full, and it was in good standing when the account closed. Well, then you decide, well, since this account is no longer active, I don't want it on here anymore. Okay, well, that 7-year account is now gone. So the 2-year credit card account that you may have sitting there, it looks better to creditors to see that she had an account for 7 years and it was in good standing and she paid it in full. Again, your credit score speaks before you do. I mean, as soon as you ask for something, that's the first thing they look at. So it's good to have a long running account, whether it is open or closed, as long as it is in good standing. Do not remove that account. The older accounts that you have, let them stay there, because it's a more positive impact on your credit score and to creditors who are considering extending you credit. Number 6 and 7 kind of merge together. Number 6 would be clear up any collection accounts. I know there are tons of videos here on YouTube that say never pay a collection agency. I'm a little torn with that, because I feel like if it's a reputable credit agency or collection agency, then you need to communicate with them, never over the phone. You want to send certified mail to these companies and figure out if there is a plan, or if they are willing to take a settlement. The whole collection thing in itself is just such a huge multi-layered issue that I'm not gonna really get into. It basically depends on you and your circumstances with that particular account. Don't ignore old issues, because if you do, it's just going to hurt you in the long run. Yes, you can dispute items. Yes, you can have items removed, but you should be aware that those items can show back up. I have done disputes myself. I haven't had an issue as of late, I guess, but years ago, I disputed things that were in collections. The company did not respond to whatever credit bureau that I contacted to have the dispute looked into and investigated. They took it off my credit report, and do you know they put that shit back on? They put that shit right back on in like 3 months. So then my credit took another hit, because now this negative account is back on my credit report. You know what I'm saying? So the whole collection thing, that's I can't even right now. Like I just can't. I don't have time. If you feel like it's a reputable company and you can get a settlement in writing, not email, not phone call, in writing, when you go to the post office and you get certified mail, there's a little green card you can also get it goes along with the mail that you send, to basically require them to sign to say that they received your letter. Do that, because a company can really say, oh, we didn't get anything. I don't know what she's talking about. I didn't get anything. Send that certified mail. Yes, it costs a few dollars. Go ahead and send that receipt with it, so that they have to sign for it to say that they got it. So we're going to move along past that. Number 8, if you have a thin file, which means you don't have much credit at all, or you're trying to rebuild your credit, open a secure card if you can. Some cards don't require a hard inquiry on your credit report, and some of them do. Some of them you can get pre-approved for. And with a secure card, you basically are using your own money. They send you a card and they report to the 3 different bureaus. I know that Capital One has a secure card. I believe Discover has a secure card. You want to get a secure card with a more reputable company. Your APR is probably going to be a little bit higher, because you are technically a credit risk, even though you're using your own money. you might take a little bit of a hit with the APR, but if you're paying your balance in full each month, it won't really affect you too much. So you can only spend however much your secure card is for. If you send them $500, they'll give you a $500 credit card. So that is your own money, but you still have to pay it on time in order for it to report positively to the 3 bureaus. So keep that in mind. Get a secure card and, you know, just take baby steps. Credit is a game. One month you might be up here, the next time it reports you might be down, and then you'll go back up. You just have to stay on top of it, and it will never be the same. It's always going to fluctuate. To make sure you have a mix of credit, and this kind of goes back to opening a secured card or just a standard credit card. Installment credit is one thing. Revolving credit is another thing. I'm not going to really explain. You can Google. You want to have a mix of credit. You don't want to have just one credit card or just one car, your vehicle loan. You want to have a mixture of credit. I don't know why it's important. I'm not going to pretend to know why it's important, but I have learned that creditors like to see different types of credit. You can handle a revolving loan, which means that once you pay that money back, it goes back into your, I guess, available credit. Have a mix of credit, whether it's a vehicle that you're financing and a Victoria's Secret card and perhaps a regular credit card. Just try to have a mix because that helps your score. Number 9. All right, this one is important. It has minimal impact on your credit score, but they add up. Okay, a bunch of them look real bad. You don't want to do that, and that is applying for a bunch of shit in a short amount of time. Here's why that looks bad. It makes you look like you are credit hungry and that you're desperate for credit. An inquiry is basically a note that tells creditors, hey, she tried to get some shmoney from us. And then if you go over here and try to apply for credit, it tells them, hey, just a couple days later, you know, we told her no over here, she went over here, and we said no too. If you have 20 of those, you know, just stacked up, that looks terrible. Do not apply for shit, especially if you know you're not going to get it. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Spread them out. After 2 years, they fall off your credit report. You don't want to have a bunch of inquiries on your shit just stacked up, because it makes you look real desperate. And a creditor is going to be like, well, what's going on with sis? Like, why she trying so hard? Why she got so many inquiries? Some things will only put a soft pull on your credit, you know, your credit report. And most of the time, the soft pulls, the company that you're applying for will tell you, or that you're applying to will tell you, this will not affect your credit score. And it won't. It won't show up to creditors, only you can see it. But most of them shits be hard inquiries, and a creditor can see every time you apply for something. So if you know that you're not gonna get it, damn it, don't try. Just hold tight, sis. Try again when you know your credit score is up and you're doing good, and you know your number has climbed, and now you want to try it. Go for it. Don't apply for 10 things in 3 days. Don't do it, sis. I'm telling you what I know. Don't do it. Don't do it. Inquiries add up, and they make you look shitty, and they make your credit report and your score look very bad. Okay? And number 10 would be credit utilization, the ratio. 30% utilization is the magic number. Not 35, not 40, not 20, not 10. 30% is the magic number. That means if, let's say you have a $500 credit limit, you want to spend 30% of that. No more. No more than that. If you have $1,000, 30%, $300. That's it. I don't know why 30% is the magic number, but it just is. It just is. Don't go over your limit, period. Okay? And try to remember to pay your shit on time. I'm not talking grace period, you know, oh, I got 3 days, I can pay it. No, pay it that day. Auto pay is your friend. Set your cards up on auto pay and try to pay now, right, okay, let me put this down because now I'm just gonna chit chat with y'all for a minute. This video has gone a little longer than I hoped for, but damn it, we in this thing, so we gonna keep on rocking, okay? Pay your credit card bills on time. Pay above the minimum payment. If your payment is $25 a month, try really hard to send 35 or 40, 50 if you can. Try to double your payments. Another tip would be just to, I guess, just because you know your score is in a decent place to a good place, don't just apply for a bunch of shit because you feel like in your heart you might get approved for it, because it's really easy. My grandfather always told me it's easier to fall in the hole than it is to get out of the hole. Next thing you know, you got 15 goddamn credit cards that you can't keep up with the payments on, and you done charged up all this shit. Let me tell y'all, my very first credit card, y'all want to know what I bought on my very first credit card? Before I tell y'all this, I don't want to be judged, okay? I'm not here for judgments. This is a judgment-free zone. I'm just telling you about me. I got my first card when I was 18 years old. The first thing I put on my credit card, goddamn gum. I put gum on my credit card. Gum, chewing gum. Yep, I did it, chewing gum. That's what I put on my credit. Don't do stupid shit like that. Don't. Just because you have the credit for it, just because you have the money for it, does not mean you can afford it. A good thing to do is to get a credit card and use it strictly for gas. And when you put the gas in your car, within a week or two, pay that off in full. Before your due date even comes up, pay it off in full, take your car back down to a zero balance. Try to stay on top of your balances because it'll help you out with your annual percentage rate and your monthly finance charges. Try to keep your balances low and paid off. Like I said, 30% is the magic number. I ain't make it up. I don't know why. It just is. If you have any other credit questions, feel free to shoot me an email. I have tons of shit to tell y'all about credit, about bankruptcies, about collection agencies. There's so much stuff. This is just like the bare minimum information that I could think to give you guys right now. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope I was able to give you some advice and some tips. There'll be tons of links down below. Check them out. Yeah, don't fuck up your credit. Just don't. Just don't. Your credit is like your word. It's your word. That's it. People see your credit and it's like, why you asking me for anything? You know your shit fucked up. I'm not giving you nothing. So be very careful with your credit. There's always room for improvement. There's always ways to improve. Stay on top of your credit. It's the best thing you can do for yourself and your family and just your life in general. Thanks so much for stopping by. I was trying to make this video short, but it didn't work out that way. My bad. It's all for the good. It's for the good, okay? Check me out on the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and I will see y'all in the next video. All right? Bye.